Brought to you by Lister Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4. Brought to you by Lister Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, Jordan here with Lister Pros TV, and today we're on Real Estate Pros here in Tucson, Arizona. And today we have a special guest, Tony Ray Baker, but people just call you Tony Ray, correct?
Correct.
With Tierra Antigua. So we'll give you a couple minutes to introduce yourself, how long you've been in real estate, what got you into the business, interested, and we'll go from there.
All right. So I started in 1994 into real estate back when there was no technology. We didn't have cell phones or pagers.
So you went through the transition.
We carried a roll of dimes, and we ran to payphones and checked in with the office to see if anybody bothered to call that day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yep, absolutely serious.
Roll of dimes.
1994, yeah, dimes, and you knew where all the payphone locations were, and you had them mapped out in your car, and there was no GPS, none of that fun stuff, right? So I started in 1994. I had been going to school for 8 years, college, and I didn't graduate with anything. So I was in love with
the Tommy Boy
experience. Right? I was in love with everything was the problem. I'm a student at heart, so I loved psychology and I loved law. So I thought I was going to do one of those, and then I got into architecture and design, and I thought I liked both of those, and so I was doing all of it at random times, and I found out as I progressed, luckily I was smart enough to take internships, and every time I did an internship I found out I did not like the business. So my mom actually was the one, hi Mom, and she said, you are a realtor, you just need to be a realtor. And I thought she had smoked funny something. I was like, what is wrong with her?
Out of left field.
I'm like, what? And she said, because I always was in sales and commission, so I sold stereos and anything else you can imagine all my life as a kid. And she said, you're a salesman. Everybody loves you. You're honest. You're ethical. And you love all these components of school, but they're all in real estate. So go check it out. And I thought about it for 2 days, and it was like a light bulb one morning hit me, and I went, crap, I got to go try that. So I went and passed the exam, and I did that, and started at Long Realty, great company. I'm not there now, but I love them. They were always really great to me. And I started with them, and I started on this journey. And it was very interesting because I was defeated at the beginning, when you start out and you're like, oh my God, what have I done?
Right.
I'm going to live in a refrigerator box, and I'm going to eat more smack ramen. Right? Because
realtors, gotta go after the
there's no money in real estate when you start. It's like any other business, and they forget to tell us that. They still aren't telling people that part, You go past your test, you think you're good, and then all of a sudden you realize, I got to learn business 101. Right. How do I market? How do I get my name out? How do I advertise a house? What do I do? And so I got that little defeat and kick in the butt, and made it through my first year, and Rosie Coberline, who I adore, and Rosie said to me, you need to meet this guy. And she sent me to a business coach, and I met him, and everything he said hit it for me, which was create the life you want and fit your business in the life, and build it by referral. Go after the people who love and know you and trust you already, and you'll have a beautiful, wonderful time in real estate. And when he said that, it resonated. And so I started really hitting business in my second year that way. And so I have to thank Mom and Rosie for that, because they both were my little guides to get me to that point. So that's how I built my business, was all by referral.
So
back then.
Yeah.
Back then.
So a lot different at 94 than starting a business or a real estate business in 2017. It's a lot easier to get in front of people and for people to know that you're a real estate agent. How are you able to make it through that first year in real estate, and what kept you afloat to make it this far?
Smack ramen.
Smack ramen. You're on the beans and rice diet.
Yes, that was it.
10 cents a bag.
No, it was really having the faith that I had a good coach on my side that knew what to do to go after nurturing relationships, and that was a huge deal for me. And so that's what we did. We actually put a plan together to nurture relationships on a monthly basis, whether it was phone calls from landlines because we didn't have cell phones, or even the brick. None of that existed at that time. So we did calls from landlines. We arranged little get-togethers with clients and backyard, barbecues, and started a newsletter and started telling them what was going on in my life on a regular basis. And that was it. We had snail mail and phones.
And payphones and rolls of dimes.
Rolls of dimes and payphones, yes. And so that's what we did. And I built a business off of that. And one client referred another and referred another. And it was an amazing shift for me, because people would call and say, do you have time to take us on as a client? Can we work with you? And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It was a different way to be treated. And from the other way they wanted to do business back then, was drop us off in a bus into a neighborhood and then take us out and go door knocking. Hi, do you want to sell your house?
So did you do that?
No.
No?
No.
So
that made me nauseated. Yeah, the idea of it.
So a big piece of your business has been built on your sphere of influence.
Yes.
And obviously, the title of this is like a true concierge experience. So talk to us a little bit about what that entails. How do you deliver a concierge-style experience to your customers, which ultimately drives your business because you're very referral-based. So people with good customer service experiences will have a tendency to refer their customers or
Absolutely.
friends and family to you.
Right. And that's a great way to start a relationship. I'm accountable to you if I'm counting on you to refer your friends. And I'm accountable to them and to you when you refer them. So now it's a great way to do business. So the concierge service, that side of it is about, so one of the cool things is when you're working only in this first generation of my career, when I was working with only referral, I wasn't spending time chasing leads. So I'm not on the phone cold calling 3 to 4 hours a day. I'm not door knocking. I wasn't doing any of that stuff, which means that I had all that time to actually take a client, the buyer, and really pay attention to what they need. And what is it that I can do for them to make the experience better? And how can I spend more time handling and working with the other agent, or whatever needs done, we're there, we have more time to spend. Because we only get so many hours in a day before burnout, right?
Right.
And we have families, and we need time off, and we need to go work out, and we need to eat, and there's dogs, and everybody has all these things to do. And so having all the extra time in the world to really pay attention to a client's needs is the difference between concierge and not. And that's when you start finding things to do for them, because the client says, oh my gosh, this house has no window blinds, but I really love it. And then we say, great, let us get our window guy over there right away, and we'll have him help you measure windows and make your selections, and we'll get this resolved before. Now I have the time to do that because I'm not doing something else.
Right.
And then they move in, and the window blind guy shows up and puts in all their beautiful custom window blinds, and they have their beautiful home. So it's little things like that. Making sure, of course, everything we take care of for them. We try to keep them from, only thing I ever let my clients do is make a decision.
Right.
So I get the information, good or bad. I process that information. What are my options? What can I give them? And I go to them and say, here's the 3 options with what we've been presented, and here's what I've seen before and how it's worked out, and that's how we're there for them. The goal is to keep them having a stress-free of a time and loving the transaction. And usually at the end of our transactions, people say, oh my God, that was so easy. It was like to buy a house. It was seamless.
Sure.
And that's my biggest compliment, because I know that we did our job.
Absolutely.
If they're not stressed out and I can get them to signing and having a party at that point to celebrate their signatures, that's where we're headed.
So giving them options, doing your due diligence, and I think that makes for a great customer experience, because you do all the homework, you're doing all the back end stuff, and then you just give them the simple, 2 to 3 options or whatever makes sense, and then they're ultimately making the decisions on how they want to proceed.
Right.
Now let's talk a little bit about more of the other things. Everything that you do is kind of within the realm of real estate, but you don't just buy and sell homes all the time. So talk to us a little bit about what other things you have going on in the real estate industry.
So you're right. I do have a team now, a very small team, but I have a blogger that works for me part-time, and I've turned my website stuff over to a code writer to help, so I can just have him do that stuff and take that off. And we have a full-time assistant, and then we now have 2 agents that are helping run clients and buyers and sellers out there. So what I'm doing usually is I have several meetings every month. So we work with the downtown folks, the merchants down here. We take a lot of ownership to downtown because our office is here, and we have a lot of properties for sale and coming soon for sale in the Menlo Park area, which is near that Mercado. We also have land at the Mercado we're working with, trying to get some development over there.
Cool.
So that's one of my side things, is a lot of time spending talking to people on the phone and really making connections. So taking someone and saying, what is it you're trying to find, and then connecting them to the right people in development or in the city where they need to go. Then the other thing I do a lot, is I'm a geek, nerd for social marketing, websites, SEO, all that fun stuff, analytics. So I work with my team, which makes that really fun for me, we build websites. We have some very large websites that are #1 in Arizona, and then we do a lot of stuff with social media, which I really am a geek. I get into that big time, like Facebook and video and walking through houses and seeing what we can do differently. We're playing with 360 house tours sometimes, or we're playing with just live video walkthrough tours, or whatever it is, whatever the whim is, but always on an intention to test it and see how my results.
See the analytics, what are the results, you know, what's getting traction, what's not, and try something new. It sounds a lot
like what you do.
I do all the time.
And that's why we work together sometimes here. The thing is that I can build a website for a client. We get them a mobile website. They get the desktop website version. You know, we put in text messaging systems. We have lead generation and capture for them with QR codes on signs. After we build all that, then we do video for them. We do a ton of social marketing media posts. We actually do 2 to 3 videos, one live, one not live, and then one whatever the whim is, which could be 360 shots or whatever to play. And the reality is, for me, is I can do all that, and the sellers love it, and I appreciate that they're grateful that we do that work for them. But I'm still looking at each piece to say, is it bringing them traffic, or is it going to help them in the end? Because it's not worth all our time and effort to make that happen if it's not going to bring what the seller needs, which is to sell their home as quick as possible for the best price. So we are analyzing that stuff and checking it out, but it's also new. As you know. So I can go Facebook Live 10 weeks in a row, and then I got to analyze all those weeks and see what we did right and wrong. And
and it seems like even recently the analytics around live have changed a little bit.
Yes, they have.
That's the only thing that the only constant has changed. So like the reach you were getting 6 months ago, but then people are so hesitant to get in the game. They just need to get in the game and figure it out if you're gonna.
The reach is different. My first live video, one of my first ones, we went live at a cute little bungalow in Central, and I hit 27,000 people in 24 hours.
Wow.
It was a crazy live. And all I did was walk through laughing and having fun and just showed them this house. And it was crazy. It wasn't about me in any way. They weren't there to see me. I'm not sure they were there to see that house. I think they were just all excited about seeing live video, because we were right on the front end of live video. And now that same bungalow, I would probably get 2,000 to 3,000 people is what I could get on that video post. So it's very interesting, because algorithms are constantly changing, and of course Facebook and these companies are pulling things back now that they've given us all the toy to play with. Now they're pulling them back and saying now pay to play, which was the intention, and we get it. But so we have to pay attention to how that all works, because I can't get the same audience as I was getting without playing.
So a lot of people in real estate and in general aren't too familiar, or they're not super techie or nerdy like
me.
Like you or I, you know? So do you offer some type of solutions or coaching or anything like that for people?
So I do teach right now. I teach for our company, Tierra Antigua Realty.
Oh, okay.
So I teach usually 3 to 6 classes a year. When they ask me, I come in and teach whichever subject they want. That could be websites and SEO, which I think is the worst.
It's been around the longest.
It's been around the longest, but it's the worst to get into. people's eyes just glaze over on websites, right?
Right.
But if you don't have a website, you don't have a business as far as I'm concerned, because our consumers out there looking for that website. Social media is what's supposed to get them to your business. And once I can get them off of that social media feed and get them into my website, they're now my captive audience.
Sure.
Now they're in the rabbit hole with me, and my goal on that website is to keep moving them around there so that they love me so much just by being there that they're going to contact me and think of me as the person that helped them buy or sell.
Sure.
That's where those websites are getting dismissed, because we're all kind of focused on Facebook right now.
Right.
And oh my gosh, I'm going to make it you. But we really should also be getting these folks all into websites.
You can get a lot more intentional around your narrative and how that feel on your own website when you're designing. Because you can only do so much on Facebook,
right?
You know, the design and different things like that.
You're only allowed to do so much.
Right.
So it's carte blanche on your website, as long as you're paying attention to commissioner's rules of advertising. But the cool thing is about having a website is that once I get you there, it's all me. And I tell you, when we did by referral, we were working that business for all those years. I became this total nerd geek when I saw the internet come alive. And so I built my first website, writing HTML code. I learned how to write, and then I made my first 10-page website, and it was #1 very quickly. And it started bringing people to call me. And I couldn't, and the disconnect for me was stranger calls. I did not take sign calls. I did not do door knocking. I would not phone call out of a phone book. I didn't do any of that kind of, cold leads. So I was really nervous about making a website, because now there's a bunch more strangers looking at me.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is my business coach said at the time, he said, just be yourself like you always are in the way you write your site. And I didn't get it at the time, but what happened was my first call came through and they're like, Tony Ray, it's Joe and Susie coming from New York. Oh my God, can't wait to see you. And I'm like, my assistant's sitting next to me, and I said, Beth, where was Susie and Joey? I was like, holy moly, who is this person? They know us really well. And he keeps talking, and I find out he just thinks I'm his best friend because he's read all 10 pages and I wrote them. So he has a whole idea of how I am as a person because it's my language, my tone of voice came through on those pages.
Sure.
And so it was amazing because my website started attracting the same type of people that my referrals were giving me. So I had 2 cool business, basically pillars to my business.
When was this? How long ago was it?
It was right when internet came
out.
So late 90s, right? Maybe 2000, 2001. Maybe we were kind of diving into that stuff.
Sure.
Boy, I don't know. It seems like forever ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it was great because now I have, it was a second pillar that I never expected, but it guided me to write every page of every website in my voice from then on. Even my ghostwriters, if I need something written, I have hired help that comes in and they learn who I am and they sit with me and they read all my writing and then they start mimicking me online. And as they're writing, I approve it and launch it as long as it sounds like something I would say.
Right.
And now I just get these folks online now jump from having to fill out a form, they just dial direct. Tony Ray, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's that segment that I was really worried about,
and it's a warm lead, you know?
It's fantastic. They call with respect, they call asking if I can help. They're polite, they're honest, they're ethical. It's just you attract what you put out, and websites are the ultimate media to do that. It is an amazing place to be. So that's why I love social media, because I can get people to see little segments of me all over the place and then get them to that website.
Sure.
And they're in my business now. Now they're in my store.
So is that how you drive the majority of your business right now?
Yep, social media to websites.
You call on like canceled and expire lists. I mean, there's a lot of games you can play in real estate.
Yeah. No, I don't do any of that. No. Never have. It's not my thing. I would be horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I would be, like it would be,
Yeah,
do you want to buy a house?
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye. Wait, do you have any smack ramen?
Hey, we know what he likes to eat.
I don't. I just.
No. Hey, that's what you ate for your first year in real estate.
Yeah, I always make that joke. It was a refrigerator box and smack. Well, I quit real estate. I didn't even know what I was doing. I had no income. I was on an 8-year job. I was making great money. I had great benefits, and I walked out the door, and they all wished me luck, and they all threw a party for me and said goodbye, and it was a big deal, right?
Yeah,
and he's gonna make it out, because I was in the grocery industry, so everybody's like, he's gonna make it out of here. They all want to leave at the time, and so I got out, and then I get into the real world. I'm like, holy moly, no income. That's awesome. That'll work with the mortgage.
Hey, just work with the income
I'm going to call the lender. I'm a realtor. Does that count? I'm not going to pay you this month. Yeah. Luckily, I had some fallback, but man, I barely survived that first year. I'll tell you.
But making that transition past the first year, I think that's where a lot of people get hung up, and a lot of attrition in real estate.
Absolutely.
Within the first year. So
and the
last thing I want to bring up. Let's talk about the iguana. What's up with the iguana? You have it on is it on your business card? It's on your website?
Yeah, it's on everything now. Again, so we vacation. One of the beautiful things about having the type of clientele base that we do is that we get to travel. So, for example, I did 30 days in Greece. I always wanted to rent a house on a beach in Greece, so I spent 30 days in Greece, and we take a backpack only. We don't take luggage because I don't want to be bogged down with stuff.
Yeah.
And so I try to do 2 trips to Europe every year, and having great clients really allows us to do that. And we were in Puerto Vallarta, and we were walking from beach to horse trail to pick up horses to take us up into the mountains to go zip lining on these really safe zip lines from tree to tree mountain on 2 mountain tops. I think back now and I'm like,
it must be a Puerto Vallarta thing, because I went there once and I did the parasailing and I saw the rope.
Like this?
I was like
this?
Is that a safe rope?
It's fraying as you're pulling up. It's fraying. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so I had a very fun zip lining experience. But after the whole thing was said and done, I'm like, I'm glad I didn't think about that, because there was a little. If I had just let go with one hand, I would have been flying on a leg. So we were there, and this guy had the iguana on the beach, and I just walked up and I said, oh my God, can I please see that thing? I've always wanted to see an iguana. And he said, yeah. And I went to touch it, and I guess it thought that I was extending a welcome invitation. So the iguana went running around, it gets on my head, and it parks itself, and it's doing its thing. If you look at him in the picture closely, he's got attitude. I'm convinced. And he's a totally cool iguana. So he turns his head and he goes like this, and his fingers are hitting my eyes. Luckily I had a hat on and I had glasses, so he didn't scratch my eyes. And the picture you see is I'm flailing jazz hands. I'm like, oh my God, take a picture. And so they snapped a picture, came home, forgot about it. Then I saw the picture on the phone and I went, oh my God, that is funny. So I posted it to Facebook. And I had to clip it out the way I did because a woman was walking behind. So it looks like I have an alien head coming out of my shoulder. So I had to clip her off. So I put that out, and now it's a half square, not a square photo, which in media world sucks. It's the worst thing you can have is an 80 by 190. It doesn't work in any media. But I did it anyways. I put it on Facebook, and instantly people were just hitting that thing and commenting. So I get a call 30 days later, and the lady says, oh my God, I can't believe you have an iguana. You're a totally cool guy. I really want to hire you. Can you help me buy a house? She said, you're not that typical stuffy realtor with the tie like every photo you see, which is funny because I used to wear a tie every day. And I said, no, yeah, okay, that's awesome. And she goes, you have a great personality, I can just tell. And I said, okay, I'll work with you, but I have to give you a caveat to this whole thing. I do wear the tie every day. And she goes, oh my God, you're kidding. And I said, I won't wear it when you get here. And so we picked up $1 million in business that year from that photo. From it, 3 people called in and said, one lady told me she went through every single realtor on the website, and they all looked the same until she hit me, and that's how she knew we were the right team. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I talked to my business coach. I did a little call. I said, what the heck? And he goes, dude, that's your branding. You've got to go with this because it's bringing out your personality and it makes you not so serious, that realtor, because I was a very serious realtor. And he said, you got to let that go and be that guy and be yourself again. That's what because I had that picture too.
Yeah.
And he said, let that go. And so I did. And it's been great ever since. So he convinced me to put it on my yard signs. And when
it's on your yard sign?
Yeah, it's on the yard signs, which who knew that would happen. As soon as we did it, people started stopping the cars to stare at houses, started taking our flyers, and they actually started calling us. And our sign calls went up double because people actually were thinking I'm this okay guy to call because they could see me there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my typical stuffy realtor tie picture.
I'm going to put you in my funnel?
Yeah, all of a sudden they're like, hey, can you tell me about this house? And now I have a live lead, which I knew nothing to do with. I, again, knew not what to do with that. But it worked really well to start bringing in business.
Yeah.
So we left him, and now he's just out there. And that John Jay and Rich on KRQ just picked it up and went crazy with it because I had 3 or 4 houses for sale in the same neighborhood he was driving around in, and my picture kept popping up.
Like,
so he took pictures of my sign and blew it all over Facebook and Instagram. And then he started calling me at 5 a.m.
That's awesome.
Yeah, to wake me up.
So a lot of free publicity from just
an iguana.
An iguana in Puerto Vallarta.
And I feel like I should go back and find the iguana and make sure he has a great life. And, you know, I don't know, take care of it. Like little lounge chair or something. I got to help that iguana because I think he was pretty good, though. He was looking pretty fine.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day, Tony Ray, to come on to Real Estate Pros and talk about your expertise. A lot of good nuggets here around building relationships in a business around your specific personality, not trying to necessarily fake it, but surviving for a very long time in the real estate industry is definitely something, because a lot of people will get in, get out. It's hot, I'm going to get in, and then they get out. So
yeah, that's true. I'm in it because I'm on vacation all the time. I love it. So, and I really appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thanks for having you, or thanks for coming on to Real Estate Pros, and we will see you guys on the next episode. For more information on hosting your own Facebook live show just like this one, message Lister Pros directly on Facebook, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Brought to you by Lister Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4, 3,